start. False start. Let's start this again. Okay? So, right. So, we're Paul and Sam, and we're live on Freedom Strider here, where we do all stuff about alternative living and travel. But primarily, especially now, we're discovering how to travel in comfort. Okay? Travel full-time in comfort. Hence, the van design stuff. Okay?
And also we're trying to escape the debt cycle that engulfs a lot of people, not us. That's the plan.
Yeah, so we're gonna so all of this has a bonus aspect of having sort of a debt-free life sort of aspect to it, but let's not get bogged down into that, because that's a whole new can of worms to discuss.
It's like a multiple can of worms. It's like a big box of cans of worms.
Yes. So, as we mentioned, we are in the midst of designing our own van conversion, so we can make it into a full-time, long-term home. And a big aspect of that is actually, making it function like a normal house, which would include potentially having extra beds into the house. So today we're going to be investigating how a design can accommodate 2 beds. So, write it in.
Dun, dun, dun. So yes,
Okay.
the question of today is, how can you fit more than one bed in a van?
Yes. The vans that we're using, we're planning to buy a Mercedes Sprinter or a VW Crafter long wheelbase, which the usual standard size for a long wheelbase is around 4.3 meters long. Here, can you see that?
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, 4.3 meters long and about
1.78. Yeah, it's about 1.8.
Yeah, just under 1 meter, 1.80 of loadable space. Now, as we have discussed before, loadable space is the physical space that when you buy the van is the space that you have to load the boxes or the tools or whatever. The open space, not the space in the walls, because behind the plywood there's extra
Yeah, it's like
room
concurved. Like you put a barrier here, and this is all insulation, so it's
Yeah.
the inside space that you can actually use.
Yeah. So this is around about how much space you'll have, and then you have the insulation inside the walls, but then the insulation will take a little bit of this space potentially.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the dimensions that we've got to work with.
Yes.
And within here, which is already a rather small space as it is, we are planning to not only fit one bed, but 2.
Yeah. So one bed. So where would you put another bed? First of all,
Why would you need more than one bed in a van? Especially if it's a double bed that can fit 2 of you. Like us 2.
yes. So, well, really, it depends on your circumstance. You could, of course, go with just one bed. However, there might come a time in the unforeseeable future where you might want to invite some guests over, or you may want to expand your family. So, why is that important? Why should you even consider it in your van design? Well, you don't always need to consider it in your van design. It's just that we want to make it a long-term solution, like almost like you buy a house as an investment in a
you
way.
don't, like, if you're sometimes you buy like a 2 or a 3 bedroom house, even if there's just 2 of you, because you have people come over, you may use the extra space until some other people come along that can then utilize the room there. So like you kind of plan ahead, but you don't plan directly ahead. It's like just in case, or it's there if it's needed.
So actually, in a way, maybe a simpler way to say it, or more direct way to say it, is we don't want the fact that it's a small space to hinder the functionalities that a normal traditional house would have. I know that may seem kind of impossible, but it's not. You just have to be very clever with your design and have very progressive friends. But
oh, come on. A van sleepover would be awesome.
I think it will be, but
each to their own.
We'll find out. So one reason is we want the van space to function as a normal house with the same level of comfort. Also, we don't want the space itself to hinder, a friend coming over once in a while, nor if you do want to expand your family at some point, we don't want the space to prevent us from making the decision to expand our family, nor do we want the event of the multiplication to make it a necessity for us to move straight away. You know, because babies are small for like the first 3 years. They'll be fine in the van. There's plenty of space. They fit in the card box. Bless you.
I'm good.
Yeah. So that is basically why we think that it's a good idea to pre-plan an extra sleeping space.
Yeah. And we actually don't think it's that hard to fit in.
No, we don't. We don't. We just
despite the small,
over-dramatizing it.
Despite the small dimensions.
Yes.
So,
okay.
Before you get to planning these awesome designs of where all the beds are going to go and how one's going to do whatever it's going to do, you need to know kind of the different types of beds that you can have. And we've managed to split them into 3 or possibly 4 categories, depending how you count the 4th one.
Actually, before we get into the categories themselves, a good thing to point out is that you can have your bed, your fixed or your regular bed. The one you use every night. You can have it as a double bed or a single bed. Obviously, when you're in a couple, you generally need a double bed. Or if you are on your own in the van, then you can go with a single bed, but
a lot of people do go with a double bed, actually, even if they're own.
Keep the dream alive. Yeah. So, also some of you just like having a little space in your bed.
A lot of space, you can just sprawl out.
Yeah. So generally, most van conversions go with a double bed, regardless whether you're alone or in a couple. And since we're going with a double bed, we gotta focus on a double bed in the van and not a single bed in the van.
A double bed is the main bed. A single bed possibly is the backup.
Yeah. Okay.
So there are, as we said, 4 different kind of categories of bed or of mattresses that you can have. The first type is the very simple type. It's the type that pretty much everyone has in their own house. It's a fixed mattress. That pretty much means that it's static, it doesn't move, it's not being cut up every day, and it doesn't fold away or slide under a bench or anything. It's just there. That's the you may have to put the mattress and a pillow on top of it, but the mattress is already there. It's not hidden away in the day. The bed is there. As this lovely drawing will now demonstrate. Just get rid of that wall. We don't need it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So quite often with beds in vans, what tends to happen is usually the beds are at the back because it kind of makes the most sense to not waste a lot of floor space. So quite a lot of beds are at the back, and fixed beds, you can just whack in there, get a bit of height so you can get a bit of space underneath for the garage and a bit of space on top so you can sit up and have cupboards. But fixed, plain and simple, self-explanatory.
Well, actually, there's a lot more to fixed beds than that. But yes, generally they are anywhere along the normal height for a bed to elevated, sort of midway up. You get a garage, you get a headspace, like he said, to potentially sit up in bed. And it's actually very uncomfortable if you can't sit up in bed. If the bed, like the van in Scandinavia, there was literally a meter headspace between us, but they had put cupboards all around the top, so you had to kind of hunch in
if you want to lean up against the wall.
Despite you having a meter of height. So personally, do not put cupboards all across here like that.
You can put it maybe this side and this side, but if your heads are here, it's a lot nicer to lean against the wall and be able to put your head up against, rather than either having to sit up in the middle of the bed and not have any backrest, or scrunch in.
Yeah.
And be a gremlin.
Gremlin?
I don't know. You pushed in.
Okay. I'll take your word for it.
Yeah.
Okay. Then the next one is what you I call it convertible.
And I call it modular.
Yeah.
Depends what kind of word you're used to, but in essence, it is one where you cut up the mattress. Basically, you can have it so... Well, actually, quite a lot of people, again, in the back of vans, what quite a lot of people have is they have a seating area in the back with the table in the middle, and then in the evening, they put the table down, they'll grab the backrests maybe, or a piece of foam from somewhere else, put it on, put a sheet over, and voila, there is your bed. But in the daytime, it is not a bed, it is something else. Or it can, basically, it's cut up, and you have to make your bed every day.
Yeah, which for some people it works, and they say it's very easy. However, do you want to make it bigger? Well, I'm not drawing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of people say that it's very easy to just dismantle your bed. So this will be maybe, let me see, that would be at least 1, 2, so that's 1, 2, no, yeah, that will be 2, 3,
and then there'll be
maybe 4 and 5. You know, the backrests. So
like cushions,
you'll have to get a foam mattress that you cut up into between 4 to 5 pieces, depending on how you do your couch, because this piece is not always there.
Yeah.
So basically, we personally struggle to put our bottom bed sheet on, and I personally absolutely hate doing it, because some of the biggest finger injuries I've gotten is from putting the bottom bed sheet onto the bed. Like when you have to take it inside, you know, like literally you lift the edge and you go under, and then the edge just scratches your fingers, no matter how much you try and not make it do so, because the mattress is heavy and so on and so on. So I absolutely hate really putting the bottom mattress on.
We hate putting the bottom mattress on when we have to change the sheets on a regular bed, which is every month or so.
Yeah.
That's worse enough. If you have to do that every single day.
So from that perspective, I'm not 100% fan of doing that every night.
But for plenty of people, lots of people do like convertible module beds, or that sort of design where it can be split up. I'm going to turn that on a second.
Oh, remember, we have this view as well.
We do indeed.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay.
And then the third...
So is that everything about this bed? Because
I believe so.
Yeah.
And then the third sort of major category, not quite sure how to sum it all together, but basically the pull down, one on rails, on hinges.
I'm not sure how to illustrate, which one to illustrate. Pull out. Well, let's
do a pull out.
Maybe I'll do 2. So do a pull out is when you have a platform, a raised platform, let's say. So
yeah,
can you see that? Yeah.
Yep.
So it's a raised platform of a. Sometimes it's stepping height. Sometimes maybe a bit higher. I'm not sure, but it's not as raised as the
definitely not, no,
as the fixed one.
No.
And what you do is you pull out the mattress from underneath.
Voila.
Yeah, so it comes out, and let's put wheels on it, because to see that it can move easily.
So essentially, in the daytime, it is hidden under this step here. So like on this step, you could have your kitchen counters, you could have a table, I don't know, whatever you wanted. But basically, you can't see the bed in the day. And at night, instead of having to make the bed, you just pull it out. And there it is.
Generally with the majority of the pull downs and things like that, the bed, the sheets, the duvet, the pillows are usually able to remain on the bed.
Yeah, they're all kind of self-contained within whatever kind of unit or contraption.
Yeah. I mean, maximum you might need to move the pillows and put them in the cupboard, but pillows are easy to stuff and take out. You don't have to repackage them into the sheets and so on and so on.
Yeah.
So that is why generally this is the sweet spot.
Yeah, it's like it's got the convenience of not having the bed out all the time, with the convenience of also having the bed pre-made, so that you just have to press a button or pull something down or pull a drawer out, and there's your bed. Because like we've all been there at like 1 a.m. and we really don't want to make our bed, and we'll just sleep on the floor.
And especially when actually a lot of van lifers, generally we have some sort of aspect of our life that is more active. So there is a moment where we come back from like hikes, very long hikes. The worst thing that we can possibly do is come back stumbling into our van and have to fix our bed. We can barely make ourselves tea or go to the toilet or take our shoes off. Breathing sometimes is difficult too. So having to...
Or just enter the van and go... bed.
Yeah, so okay, that is a bit of an extreme example, but it has happened where literally we have come back from hours of jogging or extreme exercise of some sort, and we just, all we want to do is just stare in a single spot and be comfy, and really doing our bed up, if it's a convertible, if it's the convertible options and things like that. It's really an impossibility. You just have to think about the human psyche here. It does not work.
Not for us, no, not at all. And I don't think for, I don't know.
Well, this is a circumstance where you are exhausted from exercise, so the chances are there is more or less no humans that will be able to do their bed after that extreme exercise. If it's just a normal day when you've been just working or something like that, just going to the shop, maybe. But a lot of van lifers, there's bikes, surfers, bikers, surfers,
stargazers.
Well, yeah. So all of these extreme sports, if you are that sort of person, you might want to consider this aspect, or at the very least, if you do, can you see that?
I'll zoom in on it. There we are.
If you still like the convertible option, but let's say either you're single or in a couple, make these wide enough so you can crash on them comfortably for that particular night. Yeah, if you know what I mean.
Like this can be a single mattress where you just boof.
Or a semi-single mattress that it's comfortable enough for you to just crash and nap for a bit.
Yeah.
You just have to consider your own human nature, as well as what would be the most ideal for the space. You have to make it ideal for the space and ideal for you at the same time. You have to again, a similar example that might be a bit easier to understand is you're making seating like a couch, or let's say you're making this couch. You should make sure that you make the seating not too high nor too low. Okay, don't think about, I need to fit this sort of storage in there, or something big.
Yeah, there's no point putting a giant storage box if you kind of have to like half jump on top of it to sit on, and then when you're sitting on, you can't put your feet to the floor or anything else.
Yeah, so there's a few little human nature things that you need to think about. What actually makes you comfortable and what doesn't make you comfortable. And because most of us come from a very regular conventional lifestyle, all of these things, we don't think about these things because they just come so naturally to us. We have them from birth. They just fit there because somebody else has designed it properly. Exactly. And we only notice issues with design when we're uncomfortable, but we don't log them in our head because we don't experience them that often, as a general rule. But when you design this sort of thing, start noticing things. For example, we carry tape measures constantly ever since New Zealand, which was 3 years ago.
Nearly, yeah.
Yeah, when we did our first van conversion, we have been carrying a tape measure in my bag for every single day for 3 years, because we keep especially during the design project, we see a piece of furniture or something. Like we went to Nando's and we sat on these particular chairs. They were elevated chairs, and I was like, this is interesting. These are elevated, but I'm still comfortable. Oh, they have a step. Okay, so I got my tape measure and I measured the distance from where I was sitting to the step and the height of the step, and then the whole height, so I can sort of
figure it out.
I can memorize what actually worked with this seat that actually made it comfortable to eat on or sit on while eating.
Yeah.
So little pieces like that.
And I think the fourth category, well, I don't really know where to put this one, like other stuff. That I don't think there's so much like long-term solutions for pretty much anyone. I mean, they might be. But basically, things like hammocks.
Looks like a banana.
All I heard was Nando's. Yes.
Actually, we were in danger of going to Nando's today. I was this close to suggesting it, but you said you didn't want an expensive restaurant.
That's expensive for us.
Well,
anyway,
it was expensive for today. We weren't feeling that generous.
Anyway. So yeah, the fourth category, which doesn't really fit in with any of the other three, things like hammocks, like an air mattress, some sort of cot, those army cot things.
Explain to me, why are kids, like if there's a van with a bigger family, the kids usually get put in those cots.
I'm gonna call it. It's not cot. It's just another word for a cage.
No. So it's not a cage. No. It's they look like this. So basically, you get a bar. Oof. You get a bar sticking out like that, and then this fabric is stretched between them. Okay. So literally, they look like I call them army cots because it's what usually people from when they get injured or something get carried on, like especially in the old movies like World War One and things like that.
Stretchers.
Stretchers. Yeah, it's a stretcher essentially. So I don't know why that seems to be considered a comfortable thing to sleep on. I personally have not slept on one, so I don't want to judge. It's just it doesn't seem that comfortable.
Poor kids in cages. Not a cage.
Actually, I probably made it look like a barbecue. Excuse me.
Good enough.
Good enough.
But yeah, like these are kind of, I would say, like, you know, in a house when you've got some guests over and you don't have enough mattress space to sleep everyone. So basically it's like, well, let's pull out the air mattress or the sleeping mats or this comfy sofa or something. Basically it's like a backup. I wouldn't really use it as your main or even a secondary sleeping area, but it could be if you have a hammock hook for one night.
For me, generally, for our personal lifestyle, these sort of options would be more for basically a sleepover or basically a fun night that doesn't actually require like a good night's sleep, like
a Harry Potter marathon.
Like a Harry Potter marathon where generally you're not gonna be sleeping, you're just gonna be napping, you know. Yeah. So, but if you know that any of these are comfortable to sleep in long term, then let us know, because we haven't tried it generally.
No,
I have never had long-term access to a hammock, which I am rather depressed about, because I like hammocks. I actually want to stay in the hammock longer, but I usually have to battle with people over them, and it's really bad, exhausting after that.
Yep.
So, I digress.
These are pretty much, I think, everything will fall into one of these four categories here.
Yeah.
Voila.
So, these are a lot of ideas, okay? So, what would be the ideal situation? Okay? Now, of course, again, completely dependent on your situation, but as a general rule, with these sort of van conversions, what you would be aiming for is to be able to use the living space, which is, well, actually use as much of the overall space.
Go up here.
Where are we? Oh,
Yep.
they can't see that. Okay.
There we are.
Okay, so the aim usually is to be able to use as much of the floor space during the day, and then convert a space into the bed. Actually, no. Use the floor space during the day, and then just be able to magic your bed out of somewhere. Okay,
and it appears.
And sleep at night, but then have the floor space available. Now that's a tricky one to achieve, because generally these are very contrasting wishes, because either the simplest solutions are what people come up with is that the only way to not make your bed that's easier to build is to have a fixed bed, okay, which usually you can't move, so this space you lose immediately for daily use. It's great storage as a garage. Ooh, there's a comment.
For short periods, hammock is good, but you can't stretch.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think my problem will be not being able to turn. Is that with the hammock?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yes.
Like in a cocoon.
So it's like what is it? Chrysalis?
Chrysalis.
Chrysalis is just like what caterpillars weave around themselves.
Yeah.
Like. Yes. Though in Avatar, the movie with the blue people, that they sleep in those things, they might be comfy.
Thing is, if you're asleep enough, maybe you don't notice.
What do you mean asleep enough? A deep sleeper?
If you're in deep sleep, then maybe turning over wouldn't be a problem.
Well, you keep saying that I don't turn for hours, so maybe it'd be fine for me.
I don't think the cat would like it though.
No, the cat will be definitely displeased, and she'll never sleep on me again, which would be very sad. Yeah. So
anyway, floor space.
Yeah.
And
okay, so
garage. That's where we were.
Yeah. So if you were to put the the fixed bed at the back and make it unmovable, then you get the garage space underneath, which is great storage, and you have this space as the remaining living space to work with. Okay, so, oh, yep. Can you read the comment for me?
Yeah, it was about the hammock.
Yep, it was about. Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, we got it.
Yeah. Okay. So. Oh. Yeah. Right. Okay. So so that is the ideal situation as a theory. Have floor space but have a fixed bed. However, realistically, the best way to do that is to choose option 3, which is usually the pull outs and pull downs. So, but they are usually harder to design with safety considerations in mind, because usually the pull downs on rails, you have to calculate the load bearing. So they need to carry your weight. So if it's a pull out, it's maybe a bit easier, but still this platform needs to be strong enough to support your weight when you're stepping on it.
Yeah, especially when there's nothing underneath it.
But if you go with rails instead, can they see me? Oh, they see my hand. Hello.
We're going on this one then.
Yeah. But if you go with rails, like those really cool beds that have like a.
You press a button and it goes.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are very important to calculate correctly with the right strength, because you don't want to be plummeting to the ground, because you might be breaking something that cannot be fixed. Yeah, so there's a few little bits and pieces of that. But generally, we're going to do more videos on this specifically on these types of beds, because we don't want to undervalue the importance of safety with them. So, and because the majority of people actually go with fixed beds or convertible beds, we're gonna mainly focus on these two today, and just maybe add a few points about these ones along.
Indeed.
So,
right. Okay.
So, where we can, what can they see? Okay, they can see both of us.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So, let's go with basically the fixed bed. Actually, a point about fixed bed: whether you pick a convertible bed or a fixed bed, at night they both act as fixed beds because
you can't be folded away or in pieces.
Yeah. So, for example, if you happen to have a modular bed as well, not modular, a pull-out bed, that will still be a fixed bed at night, because you would have to pull it out. It will be out in the space, and you can't shove yourself back in the drawer in a way. Okay.
Well, could be a sardine can.
A sardine can.
Yeah, you just reseal yourself.
Let's go back to the safety aspect of it, which would be breathing in this case. Also, scratches of your nose if you do manage to breathe.
I don't think you'll be able to turn either.
No, you would not be able to turn, and neither of us are usually vampires. Any vampires in the audience?
Don't think so.
Well, it's sleeping in drawers, coffins, or anything.
The thing is, if you're a vampire, you probably wouldn't need to sleep.
Depends on the vampire. There's different types of vampires.
Anyway, off topic. So yes, regardless of which type of bed that you have, when the beds are out and when people are sleeping, the beds are fixed, which means you do need enough floor space or space in general to accommodate the number of beds out, so you can sleep on them.
Precisely. So regardless of whether this bed here is always uncut or is potentially a couch during the day, at night you're gonna get the same result, which means that you can either put the bed, put the second bed. You can put the second bed. So if it's a fixed bed of this sort at this height, so around midway, okay, in the van.
Maybe
we
have some vampires in the audience.
Oh, okay. Wonderful. Are you a vampire?
Maybe.
Do you sparkle?
Which type of type of vampire are you? Do you need to sleep? Do you sparkle in sunlight?
You know they can hear you. That's kind of the point of this conversation, that they can hear you and
Yes,
can't
yes,
hear
I think
us.
it's just best. Anyway.
Oh, okay. Right.
Yeah, depending on how high the mattress at the back is, like, so you have a space beneath it and a space above it.
So you can either, in this case, you can put the bed either underneath. So second bed can be on the floor.
Yeah.
Okay. Or you can put it, actually, if the
That would need to be moved down a little bit, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you wanted it like up here, so like a cool sort of bunk bed idea.
So yeah, either you can have it. You can have the beds on top of each other, so that like bunk beds, and in which case this needs to be proportionally moved so there is insufficient headspace for you to turn and sleep comfortably. But in this scenario, the chances are there wouldn't be a lot of
space to sit up.
Space to sit up. Yeah.
Yeah, which plenty of people do have. Like, in tiny houses they have lofts where you're not even able to sit up. You're just literally able to go to sleep, and that is it. And those camper vans where they have like that bit on top of the driver's cabin where they often put a mattress. That's not very big either.
No, and I usually, when I look at it, I've never.
That reminds me of a coffin.
Yeah, I've never dared to go in one of those, but they always look too claustrophobic for me. So I kind of, the hole that they get you in there is small enough for me. It's like, I don't really want to go in there.
Anyway, so if you like, you would have slightly less sitting up space, but it is possible to fit two mattresses on top of one another here.
Yeah, just be aware that if you happen to have a second bedroom underneath the bed, this area will be pitch black. So only use it for those people that love sleeping in the pitch black. Personally, I like having natural light coming in somehow, because we want to have skylights for us. The light will be coming from the top, and this person here will be completely blacked out. Okay, so that's something to consider. So in this case, when you have the raised fixed bed, you can easily put a secondary bed basically in the garage. What you could do, basically, if you think, well, I need some garage space, if you don't have any bikes or big equipment that you need to store in there, what you can do is, where should I draw this? Actually, I'll draw it here, and then I'll give it a bit. Okay.
All right.
Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what you do is you can split the garage in two. So this would be the bed 2, and this is garage, like that. If you need a smaller garage and you would like to have all the beds at the back of the van, so you don't take up any of the extra space here. All right?
Yes, for me it's as well as claustrophobic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it depends how claustrophobic you are as to whether you would want to sleep in this space.
What we definitely recommend is that you try it. If you find that you would like to go with a no headspace for sitting up, or basically only turning space, a narrow sleeping area, then try it out, because what you imagine that you can bear might not be the case.
Yeah.
And especially if you're designing something for long term. Short term, you can maybe get away with it as an experiment, but since this project is planned to carry us on for years and for months at a time, maybe a year at a time, we need to be able to stay sane. As it will be a bonus. I know we're not sane to begin with, but we're not that bad in comparison to what it could happen. So, yes. So those are two of your options. So above the bed or below the bed. And of course, the next option is to take some of the rest of the space that you have. So your main bed, actually, have we said enough about the convertible bed in this case? Have we made it clear? I don't think we made it clear enough. Just going back to above and below, if you have a convertible couch.
No.
Okay, So just going back to this for a moment, just so we make sense. Okay, so the convertible couch would be about at this height.
So this is the side view. Oh,
couch.
Whoops.
What's
there
up?
we go. Wrong camera angle.
Oh,
So we're fine.
sorry. Okay, so if you have the couch, the convertible couch here, convertible.
Tipple.
It's a weird word. Convertible couch. Obviously, better not put your guest or child underneath the couch. Underneath the bed, maybe. Underneath the couch,
That's not
possibly
a lot
not.
of space.
Because you need to be able to sit on the couch, which would make it rather a narrow thing to do. A narrow space to sleep in. So in this case, usually people then put the second bed here. Okay?
Voila.
Yeah. And while we're on this, this is the really only design that will let you have 2 double beds in the same van of this size.
Yeah, because if you think about it, if that's... Hold on, what is this? Is this the scale or not?
Yeah, approximately.
Well, okay, let's go off here because the double bed is about 1.50 m wide for a decent double bed.
1.50 m will take us about there.
Yeah, so if you think 2 double beds next to each other, that's 3 meters. This length here is 4.3 meters. So 3 meters.
They're about to scale these ones, by the way. You don't have
4
to.
point. Yeah, so 3 meters is there, and the door is 1.30 m.
Yeah. So.
So actually, putting 2 double beds would mean the end of the bed would be where the door begins.
So you essentially have actually here, because if you have 2 double beds next to each other, using the rest of the space, yeah, you essentially have. I'm very sympathetic towards teachers. Okay, so you have the 2 double beds there next to each other, permanently somehow taking the space. And then if you want a kitchen or a toilet, that means that you have about 1 meter...
1.30 m by 1.80 m to fit everything else that you need in. I mean, even if you make it like I guess you could have it this, and then this one pulls out from underneath or something, but still, like, this space still has to be clear. You can't put kitchen cabinets here or something.
So it's possible, but most of us are not that magic.
And obviously, if you have a bigger space, like this is a long wheelbase, you can get... Is it an extra long wheelbase? What do they call it?
Yes.
You can get a bigger van than this, or obviously if you have something bigger than a van, it's possible. But in this sort of van space size, it's pushing it.
So yeah, and that again takes us back to using the rest of the space for your second bed. So if you don't want to lose head height, so if you want to have either a normal height bed here as a convertible couch, or you would like to have the raised fixed bed as seen in a lot of vans with the big garage underneath, then that, and you don't want to lose the headspace, then that leaves you with putting a some sort of makeshift bed of some sort that is still comfortable for a slightly more long-term use here, the rest of the space. Now this space needs to fit the kitchen and potential toilet or something like that. So our recommended design, which we have worked on, is
Let me just switch in full screen. There we go.
See that?
Yeah,
Okay.
we're in.
So having the bed here, whether it's convertible or not, what you can do is put the kitchen potentially here. Okay, so that is kitchen.
Kitchen and storage, so like cupboards.
Okay. Storage.
Yeah.
Most of the storage can go in there.
Mm.
I'm very self-conscious of my spelling. I'm not that good at spelling, especially when I'm talking at the same time. Okay, so that can be the kitchen, and what you can do is put a relatively narrow single bed right here.
I think you're going to need a TARDIS, not a van.
Do you have one? I would love one, actually.
I would love a TARDIS.
With a swimming pool. He had a swimming pool in the last few seasons.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They got lost in the TARDIS, didn't they?
Yeah, although if they get lost in TARDIS, why did they only make us watch them go through metallic corridors? That's a perfect opportunity for us to actually explore the TARDIS. What was wrong with them? Digressing.
But yes,
Okay.
if anyone has a TARDIS, we will gladly take it and put it in the back of our van.
Or just travel with the TARDIS. Why would you need the van then?
Oh, yeah.
You just need to learn how to operate the TARDIS.
And be discreet with it.
Yes, well, we can be smarter than the Doctor and actually fix the chameleon circuit. Is that what it's called?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not actually that big of a fan
And
of
we
the...
won't leave the parking brake on.
No. We'll be quiet. Okay.
Anyway, digressing again. So yes, our generalistic design, the one that we think is going to be the most ideal for us, at least that we've come up with now, having the double bed in the back, whether convertible or not, probably for us more likely going to be a fixed. The kitchen up here opposite the door. We're British, so the door is on this side because the steering wheel is on that side.
Yeah.
But if you're in Europe, the USA, pretty much nearly anywhere else in the world, it'll be just flip it, basically. But yeah, so we have the kitchen up here opposite the door, and then we have this as a single mattress. So what is it? 70 centimeters, 80 centimeters wide?
In my calculations, I put 80 at the top and 70 at the bottom, so you have more space for your head to wave your
Head and
arms
shoulders,
around.
yeah.
To wave your arms around, and then your legs just they stick out the bed anyway. They don't matter that much.
Plus, you don't like if you like because this is based upon like we measured our mattress. We're like, how wide is 70 centimeters? And in our car in New Zealand, we had like a 3-way foldable mattress. That was actually a large single. That was like 90.
A large single American, was it?
That was 90 centimeters wide.
90 centimeters.
Because we had to fit it between the wheel welds and the table legs.
Yes, yeah, that would have been.
So that was 90 centimeters wide. I mean, that was a little bit tight for both of us, but bearing in mind that's a single. That's a single, so that fitted both of us.
Yeah.
So
generally,
yourself.
it's a matter of getting used to it. We have in the past, actually for quite a while, shared a single bed, and then like big double beds have felt too big, and then once we've slept in a double bed for a while, single beds are a bit tricky for the first few days, and then we basically, with enough bruises and elbowing, we start to understand each other and share the space better. So it's a learning curve, but generally, this design does not expect that you're gonna put two people on this single bed.
Yeah. So if 90 centimeters wide is just wide enough for two people to sleep on, 70 centimeters wide is definitely wide enough. Once you get used to it, to sleep one person. I think regular mattresses are either 80 or 90. Americans seem to be like they do mattress sizes bigger, but the UK size is 80 centimeters or 75 is a regular UK single. So that will be big enough to sleep someone. And yes, you know, you could fit two people, so you could sleep four.
No, you can't. Well, okay, with just one of these, you can't. If you were to do a single bed here, on the bed, sleeping quarters basically in the garage, you can get pretty much four people in there.
You were going to say 4 complete people, weren't you?
No, I was gonna say four complete spaces, but no, they're 3 spaces. You're gonna have the double bedroom at the top, a single bedroom at the bottom, and a single bedroom at the other end, and in the van. This will be a couch, and these 2 would basically be just for sleeping. Yeah. However, this design does allow for sitting space at the top bunk as well.
Yeah,
Okay.
because it would be like, halfway down or somewhere in that region, so you can sit up in the daytime. And this will just be a regular couch.
The next concern, generally, actually a big concern of ours was that if we were going to plan for guests or children in the future, then we need to consider privacy. Okay, so just we had to put some thinking into how we're basically gonna coexist with more than just the 2 of us in a van for whatever amount of time, because no matter how friendly you are with somebody, if they're not your partner, it can get a bit awkward in a small space.
Yeah.
So
and maths doesn't lie in terms of this is a small space, so you will kind of be in not in each other's hair, but they'll be there. You know.
some of the concerns with privacy, if you haven't thought of them already, usually people think of the negative stuff about van life way before the positive stuff. So you've already got already sorted out. But when you're sharing a small space with somebody, things such as snoring, so noise, or toilet usage.
When people are sleeping.
Sorry.
When people are sleeping.
What about when people are sleeping?
Yeah, the toilet use when people are sleeping.
Yes, so at night, when people are asleep, there's certain concerns that go on if you have, because a lot of toilets in vans, sometimes you have a complete compartment for the toilet, and sometimes you just have a pull out with very little privacy. So there'll be noise, potentially smell while the deed is done, and people can see your expression while you're doing your business, as demonstrated right here by our volunteer. So basically, it gets a bit tricky. Okay, when you have to share a space with people, and if you have basically the whole floor space covered in beds, there's no chance. You have to go out the van, or if the bed's high enough, you might try doing it in the bed. But come on, you're sleeping, you're half asleep. You're not gonna go pee underneath somebody's bed.
Yeah.
You probably mistaken do it on the
good
on
demonstration.
Their bed.
I think it was a good demonstration.
It was.
So
where was I?
Privacy. So the one thing that you should never do in a space as small as this is have a permanent fixed barrier that's always there. For example, we've seen some like camper van designs where they've literally put a barrier there. Like it is a complete barrier.
What you should do is have the least amount of zigzags as possible, which is why we discourage having like corridors. Yeah, so something like that. The more times you have to turn. Can I see that?
Alright, let's zoom in on that. There we go.
So the more times you have to make a turn, the more bruises you'll have. I can guarantee you, because I had 4 weeks of bruises. Oh, I'm sorry. I had 4 weeks of bruising while in Scandinavia in that van, because
in the corridor.
It was a corridor van, and that is why I know not to do that, because both head and legs were bruised because of these turning circles. Yep. Now, a few ways to avoid that is round the corners, but that's obviously a bit of extra work for you there. Or if you're less clumsy than me, you might be fine.
But the main way to avoid it is to not have corridors.
Yeah. So generally, the least amount of corridors and walls, which generally create the corridors, the better. Okay. We personally recommend as to have temporary barriers. You can have curtains.
Curtains are a really good one.
Yeah, curtains. However, they insulate sound a bit less. Do they? Or they're about the same. So there's curtains, shutters. What was the other one?
What do we have on our notes?
Swing doors.
Swing doors.
Yeah.
So yeah, like instead of having a permanent barrier just completely blocking this off, you have like you
have movable walls.
Yeah, basically. Have like like the concertina one, so you like pull it out and then you have a door in it.
Yeah. So this is a plank of wood, let's say, and it can swing all the way there, so it can be pushed against the wall if necessary, or pushed against the bed,
so that it gives a degree of privacy.
Yeah. So that is one idea. I personally like the shutter idea. I haven't quite figured that one out, but what I imagine is what you can have is you have the bed here, and then you have some sort of nice smart shutters that basically roll down and basically cover the whole, and then it's a separate bedroom. And the same thing can occur here. Basically, you can have a shutter here, and you can create any sort of space in that sort of fashion.
Yeah, and also, like, if this shutter here, you don't have to pull it all the way down to the floor. You can, like, hook it under the bed so that the person who is sleeping over here, if they, for some reason, need to get to the garage, you know, whilst the other person here is sleeping, or even not just sleeping, like chilling, watching a movie. They don't want to be disturbed. They can still go under the bed.
Yeah. So it's about making the space functional for different types of rhythms,
Patterns.
day schedules. What is it called? There's a word for it. Routines.
No,
it's routines. It's fine. Routines is fine.
Routines.
Yeah. So especially if you have a small child, the child will hopefully go to bed earlier, so you can have some time alone, which would be nice to have any space in the van that you can basically have a bit of quiet time where that you can communicate in more than just random sounds. Yeah. So. So we definitely encourage having temporary barriers, not permanent barriers. Also, as I mentioned earlier about noise, now there's only so much that you can do in a small space because you're close together. You're gonna hear everything, and basically it's gonna be very intimate. So you need to pick very carefully who you live with. But the reason why we put the couch here and not here, so there's 2 ways that you can do it. Let's move that way. So you can have the couch there where it is, or a lot of people put it here as well. Okay, so they have it like that. Now this is a very cozy design. I originally really liked it because, well, it just fits, you know. For you walk in, here's a nice seat, and then you go into bed, nice step, woohoo, that works. However, when we started thinking about using this couch as a second bed, we were thinking, okay, well, who will be sleeping in that bed? Either a guest or a child. So if it's a child, you definitely don't want to wake them up by stepping on their head. And the same stands with the guests. You don't. Okay, so you're both sleeping here. You have a person sleeping here, and you're sleeping there.
So we're gonna call this person A.
And then what we have, hold on.
Is he skydiving?
Is you have this.
So we have. Okay, we're going to call this one person A. So we have person A who is up here, who wishes to get down to cook breakfast early or go to the toilet. Yeah. Person B is still fast asleep. Person A has to do some sort of acrobatic flip over person B in order to get to their destination. And I don't know about you, but at 6:30 or at actually let's say 4 a.m. in the morning, and you need the toilet, you're not going to be wanting to do whatever this is.
It's a front flip.
It looks dangerous.
It is dangerous, given that would be where the sink is or something. That would be the kitchen counter in this case. Yeah. So generally, what this illustrates is that we recommend that you separate the 2 bedrooms by physical space as much as possible.
Yeah, so that avoids this situation right here.
Yes.
Because if this bed were underneath, then the person would have to do an acrobatic flip. Or if the bed was on the other side, or something.
Precisely. Okay? So yeah, that's why this bed couch is here, and obviously the best way to split them is to have one at one end and the other one at the other end. Okay?
And this is why we like this design the most.
Yes.
Right.
Okay, so this is everything roughly that we have currently thought of having a design with fixed beds, convertible and fixed beds, not the pull out, the pull downs and stuff like that, because there's so many options with them,
and they're quite complex sometimes to
so
design,
let us know which type of bed you would like us to do a more detailed design session on. So both like pull down rails, pull out beds, swinging beds, Murphy beds, beds. Okay, so there's many different options, and they all have very different design configurations, and a lot of new possibilities become open when you actually start using let's call them the the smarter designs. But the smarter designs usually carry a lot more responsibility in terms of safety and so on. So
so these are like these are the easiest things to do. You don't have to think about as much the complex mechanics of flipping and
the thing about with pull out basically even more convertible beds. So pull out and pull downs and things like that, is that they usually have they have hinges or they have components moving, which are much harder to calculate, because fixed beds are static. You can you have your usually people go with wood. There's better ways to do it, but the easiest thing is you have stilts, and with enough screws, you will be fine. Generally, even if you're botching it and DIYing it without a lot of research, the chances are that it will stay for quite a while. Okay, and you start hearing cracks before it goes down, because usually we overdo it with the wood anyway. So from that perspective, that's why we stuck with that one. So
for now,
currently we don't want to be responsible for if any of you end up on the floor when we tell you to do something with the other designs in this short of a design session.
Indeed.
So any questions, actually?
Any questions before we go? Because it's just past the hour mark. So I think that is good. That's all we had on our notes.
Yeah, that's pretty much well covered, unless you have any questions. As a very quick recap, you can have 2 beds. You can even have 2 double beds. But generally,
we suggest not having 2 double beds side by side. Definitely not.
Yeah.
And 2 double beds on top of one another. If you're willing to sacrifice some headspace or some garage space, then it's doable.
But try out anything extreme that you're planning to actually build yourself.
Like, try it out first. Like, build a replica of some sorts in your room. Try and figure it out. Like, spend a few nights sleeping in it and see if it's something that you would be comfortable doing.
Yeah.
So, don't think we have any questions. That's fine.
Yeah, that is absolutely fine. If
Coolio?
that is everything. Ooh, what?
Coolio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, just a final announcement. Our Patreon page is finally launched. So, if you would like to join that exclusive alternative living design community, then hop over, click the link in the description, and we'll see you there. There'll be more complicated and in detail live streams on there, and a lot more behind the scenes for our van design right now as well. So that is what you'll find there right now, and we'll hope we see you there, and we hope we catch you next time for our next live stream.
Indeed.
Okay.
Goodbye, everybody. Until next time.
Indeed.